Hey everybody, Matt Willis here. Welcome back to On the Mend. Now, this is the podcast where we look back to move forward. And today I'm going to be talking about something which is massive for me right now. I'm on tour. I'm on tour with the McFly boys. It's Busted versus McFly. And it is it's something I've been looking forward to for a really long time. I love those boys, and being on tour with them is just epic. Touring's a weird thing, you know, like I said in the past, it's kind of like somewhere where it's been troublesome for me in the past. But now, if I'm honest, I don't feel very troubled about it. I'm at a place now where I feel quite confident in my recovery, like where I am in that kind of space, to be able to do these things, to be able to step into this world and not take me back to that place, you know, to be like this new version of myself who I like and admire for being in this situation without having to go back to that old version of myself, which was not so admirable. And it's kind of bringing me, you know, joy and happiness every day, which is great. You know, I get to meet you guys, get to meet some of you, come and chat to me. And when you mention that you listen to the podcast, it's just rad. Like I said, we put these out and then we kind of, you know, we don't know who's listening or who's watching these things. So it's really nice to hear from you. And I love hearing from you. So let's get into it. Before we dive in, I just want to thank you guys very much for tuning in, for listening. And we love that you get in touch with us and let us know what you're thinking of episodes, what you liked, what you didn't like, what you take away from something, what you thought of a guest. It's wicked to hear from you. So thank you very much. I mean, I think of it as like, you know, following the show is a small act of self-care, right? It's saying, I want to keep learning, healing, and showing up. So if this sounds like you know what to do. Hit follow, hit subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode too. So today we're going to take you behind the scenes, not the actual tour itself, but if you want to see that, maybe let us know and we can maybe do a podcast episode actually backstage. I think it'd be pretty cool, right? Yeah, I think it'd be great. But we're going to show you what I'm like backstage, what kind of backstage is like for me. I think there are times when I walk off stage and I'm so stoked that I still get to do this every night. You know, it's such an amazing kind of privilege to be still playing music and still in this band that I love, and also giving everything I've got every single night is an amazing feeling. But there's also a bit of pressure that comes with that, you know, to deliver every night and to kind of keep in the right headspace where I feel ready to go on stage every night and ready to give it my all. I've been touring since I was about 19 when I first went on tour. So I've kind of been on tour for 25 years. That's crazy when I think about that. 25 years of being on tour, you know, but, and there's been different parts of that where I've loved it, different parts where I've dreaded it, different parts where it's been everything to me. And I think what I love about this one so much is that I'm in a really good place and I feel safe and I feel secure in where I am at with myself to be able to exist in this world, which can be the downfall of me, of different people I know. You know, like when I think about it, the thought of me going on tour would have filled people with dread. You know, like it's the one place where people were scared for me, I think, because you can live these two lives. You can live this life where you're the person you meet every day, and then you can go away and be this secret version of yourself because you're only on stage for an hour and a half, 2 hours every day. And then the rest of the time is whatever you want, you know, and that has been disastrous for me in the past. But I don't want to live two lives. I want to live one life that gets to do this cool thing during that life. And I'll talk about how I'm kind of preparing to approach that a little bit later on. So look, however much I'm excited and kind of thrilled that I get to do it, some parts of touring are testing, right? And I think the biggest thing for me, the biggest test is energy. I want to go on stage and give it everything I've got. But to do that, I have to have so many ducks in a row, which is so weird, right? Because I'm not like an athlete. It's not like I'm running a marathon every day. But for me, it's like I've got to be up there. I've got to deliver. My voice has got to be on point. I've got to feel like I've got enough energy to run around and do everything I want to do, engage with as many people as possible, and keep this kind of focus on stage for the entire time. And really, when I think about back in the day, everything was about what happened after stage. So the kind of gig was a way to get to the after party. for me. Whereas now, everything is about that 2 hours on stage. And so my whole day, really that 2 hours on stage starts the night before. It starts with going to bed and getting some sleep so I can wake up the next day, work out, look after myself, eat well, all this kind of boring stuff, which, well, actually, I love it. I don't find it boring. I really, really enjoy all that stuff. It makes me feel good and makes me feel like I'm ready to achieve when I walk on stage. Because there's nothing like it, man. Like the feeling when I walk on and I hear the crowd and they're excited and they're pleased to see us. That never gets old. That never feels anything but epic. And I don't take it for granted. I really, really go, right, I'm going to give you a bloody show, and I try my best. But that takes a little bit of prep these days. I'm not a spring chicken, so I've got to really work on it. And really, that's happened like 6 months before I went on tour. Like I start thinking about a tour. If I'm going on tour in September, I'm preparing for March. I think about my routine, my workouts, everything like that, because I'm not running a marathon. I know that I'm not a sports person, but if I'm not in shape, I get to the mic and I'm like, which doesn't sound very good. So I really focus on cardio a bit more, kind of getting myself fit, getting myself feeling ready. And also that comes from me having insecurities about the way I look, I suppose, and like thinking that I want to look good on stage and I want to feel good because that makes me feel confident, makes me feel like I can really give it everything I've got and not worry that I'm going to look up and see a screen of my face and be disappointed. That's some awful shit, which I have done in the past. And it kind of fills me with this weird feeling when I go to bed, so I didn't want to feel like that. I wanted to feel ready. I wanted to feel confident. I wanted to feel like I could give it everything I could and not be disappointed in any aspect of it. So I went to work and I continue to go to work every day. I think one of the biggest things on tour for me, which I've struggled with for years, is going on stage is the biggest adrenaline filled kind of energy spike I could possibly imagine. Like it fills me with all these kind of hyper feelings and I feel energetic and I feel kind of awesome. And it feels great. And that works all the way through the gig. There's not one point, like normally people say, oh, that kind of wears off a couple of songs in. It doesn't for me. I feel hype the whole time. And I feel so filled with kind of like, I don't know, like energy. And I love that, right? But unfortunately, that doesn't stop when I come off stage. And something I've really struggled with is sleep on tour. I find it impossible. I've tried so many different things, to kind of wind down. It's not like I've got too much caffeine in my body or something. I've thought about that in the past, all those kind of things. It's not that. It's like I am wired beyond belief. I've got this massive influx of adrenaline and kind of energy and enthusiasm and everything's bang, 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 bang. And even though I take things like I take heights, which really does help with sleep, right? It does kind of help me get more REM sleep. There's something about that winding down period, which I can't work out. It's like, it's even with all my ducks in a row, I'm so hyped that I can't seem to find a very good way of winding down, because my wind down in the past was party, drink, into oblivion, go to bed. And that obviously doesn't work for me anymore. So I'm like, right, what is that? Right. I've tried reading a book. I'm not very good at that anyway. So there's no chance I'm going to sit there and go, so it just doesn't work. I've last tour I bought a PlayStation and other game consoles are available. And I bought this little, and I went to town. I bought this like really expensive case that it goes in with a screen in it, and just plug it in when I go in my room and just go like this. And I would play Spider-Man for 2 hours after I come off stage. So I'm finishing a show, going back to my hotel room on my own and swinging through the streets of New York, which worked some nights until it didn't, and it's then I'm bored of that and I don't know what to do. Lots of people do different things. For me, I'm still trying to find out what that is, because the other boys will go to the bar, catch up. They're not going and getting hammered or anything. They're just going and kind of doing that kind of socializing thing. I don't want to do that. I don't want to go and sit in bars. I find it boring. How many times did you wake up last night? Be honest. For me, broken sleep used to be normal, right? I'd crash out, then suddenly be wide awake at 2 a.m. Mornings were the absolute worst. Then I started taking Vitals by Heights, just 2 capsules a day. That's it. No more messing around with a cupboard full of supplements. I mean, this stuff is scientifically proven to improve your sleep, as it's got over 20 essential nutrients, including omega-3s and vitamin D3. This is all backed by real science, right? It's over 1,400 studies on this supplement alone. I mean, it has been massive in improving my sleep, which has improved my recovery. So sometimes I'll be playing a show at nighttime, have to fall asleep because the next day I've got a packed day full of different things. And I really struggled before Heights. And now, sleep through, everything's good. So if you're done with tossing and turning, head to heights.com/OTM and use the code OTM20 for 20% off your first subscription. Start sleeping better tonight. Not because I'm worried about drinking or using, but because it's just a bit like meh. I don't really want to go and have 4 Diet Cokes. I'm just a bit like, I don't really want to do that. So I might have a chat with someone after a gig and then I'll go back to my room and I find that I just cannot sleep for hours until I've kind of winded down enough. And I'm trying to find out what to do in that period of time that will work to wind me down, and I haven't found it. So any suggestions? If one more person tells me I should try knitting, I'm gonna fucking scream. I am not a knitter, nor do I ever want to be. So any more other suggestions apart from any kind of sewing or knitting? It's not for me. Sorry, it's not gonna work.
Golf simulator.
A golf simulator, that would be great. Do you know what? Funny you should mention that, right? Because here we go. I've just bought this thing. Right, I think it's called Putter, and it's like a little box which has got like a little putting green in it, but the putting green's too long for my hotel room, so it only works in the dressing room. So I bought this thing specifically. I was like, right, great, I can go home and just practice putting in my. Listen to me getting excited about golf again, but I was so excited about it, but it's too long. Like the putting green just doesn't fit in any hotel room unless I've got some suite, which is not what I've got. So I'm trying to work out what else I can do. Maybe there's a golf computer game. Sure there is, right? Maybe there is. But I'm not sure how well looking at a computer screen is for your eyes before you go to sleep. No. Yeah. So I'm still trying to figure it out. Any ideas, please let me know. Okay, let's be real, right? When you look at touring, and when I look at touring, right, it looks really kind of like shiny from the outside. Everything's kind of epic. You're looked after. Everything's cool. But it's also long days, weird sleep, adrenaline spikes, downtime that messes with your head. For me, there are triggers everywhere, and there's kind of like, there is drink and drugs on the road if you want it, and I try to stay as far away from that as possible. And I've got a real good safety bubble around me, but that is there. I'm always looking for ways to prepare and to manage it better. So I have a few things that are working for me. First one for me is a routine, right? And this can go for everybody, I think, right? Routine has been massive for me. If you have any kind of history of addiction, routine is so important, I think, for me, because it gives me some structure in my day and helps me achieve things that otherwise I just won't achieve. So I really, really relish routine, and I struggle with it in my life because it kind of like seems to be this kind of forever moving target. But I really thrive in routine. So I try to get to bed before 2 a.m. on tour, which sounds like a really terrible goal, but for me, it's actually quite a good goal, right? It's like any later than that and I'm wrecked the next day. If I go to bed at 2, even if I get up at 9, that's enough for me. I feel okay, right? And I get up in the morning and the first thing I do is work out. And that's not really a vanity thing. That's like a head thing. Like if I work out, my day feels better. I feel better within my day. I get more done in my day, and my day just seems to go better. So I always start with some kind of movement on my body. And when I'm on tour, I have to be careful not to do too much because I have to do something in that evening which is really taxing. So I've kind of worked out these workouts that I can do on a daily basis, which give me everything I need, kind of fuel me for the day, but not too taxing that it ruins the main event, which is later on in the evening. The next thing is eating well. I find that nutrition on the road is quite hard because you're stopping at service stations and stuff to get food during the day. When we're at the venue, there's catering, and there's kind of like we've got someone making food for everybody on the tour. So all the crew, we all eat together in this massive room. It's wicked, and we kind of get to meet people and get to chat to our crew, which is awesome. But then when you're not at the venue, you're eating wherever you can. So I always try and get some kind of good food before I leave the hotel. And then on the road, I'll grab whatever I can in whichever place I can. Just because there is a fast food restaurant there does not mean I have to eat from it, Matt. So there's always something else I can do. And sometimes I'll pack a little packed lunch the night before in catering, and I stick it in the fridge in our dressing room, and they put it in my bag. So I've got this little packed lunch, which is very sad, but that sometimes is what I need, because otherwise it's running into places. And look, sometimes I do that too. Sometimes I'm like, just fancy something a bit naughty, and that's okay. I'm not punishing myself for that. What's in my packed lunch? Well, it's normally some kind of chicken and some vegetables of some kind. This is the thing, right? So I try not to eat too many carbohydrates early in the day, because otherwise I get sleepy about like 7, 8 p.m., which is really weird. But if I eat them at like 5, 6, I feel fueled for the gig. But if I eat them in the morning, I'm screwed. Even like porridge or something, if I eat that for breakfast, I get sleepier during the day. It's weird, right? Also, I take the right supplements. I think lots of people say you don't need supplements. I do, because I struggle otherwise. So I take like my heights, I take them every day, right? And even at nighttime now, when I feel myself going, right, I'm probably about an hour away from sleep, I take my magnesium supplement, which just helps me fall asleep a bit easier. It kind of helps me get better sleep through the night. So take it before I sleep, wake up, take my vitals, take my probiotics, and I've got hydrate in my water every night on tour. When I'm drinking that water bottle that's got hydrate in it, because I'm trying to kind of replace those electrolytes I'm losing from running around. So all those things make a massive difference. And also, for me, it's part of a routine that kind of wherever I go in the world, whatever I do, I have certain things which ground me and feel the same everywhere. Because we're in a different hotel every night. We're sometimes sleeping on a tour bus. All these kind of things are a bit weird and kind of like space you out. You're like, where am I? What am I doing? I need some kind of routine. And sometimes waking up and having the same thing in the morning is that routine that I need. Another thing I do is I check in with other people, because on tour, it can become a bit all about me. Right? I know I'm in a band with other people, but in my little world, it can become very much about me, which is not good for me. I heard someone describe themselves in recovery, and it was the brilliant way they described it. They said, I'm an egomaniac with an inferiority complex. And I was like, that is a brilliant description, because I can meet so many people who can relate to that. And I'm a bit like that too if I don't get a handle of myself, So I'm always checking in with other people and trying to make everything not about me and my goals and what I need and what I must get out of today. And I need this and I need that. And me, give me, because that's not a good headspace for me. And that can lead to terrible decisions and terrible paths which I don't want to go down. So I try to make it about others, and I try to reach out to these people as much as possible, and that really helps me. The next one, well, kind of reverting back to something I said earlier, right, is that when I go on tour, I don't want to live two lives. I do not. I've done that in the past, right? I've been me at home, then I've been me on the road, which is like a totally different version of myself, and I do not want to have that anymore. So I try to see my family as much as possible, and I try to not go off on tour. I'm touring, but I'm not gone. So I come home whenever I can. Sometimes I'll finish a show, there'll be a car waiting, and I get straight in that car and drive home, because I know I've got the day off tomorrow, and I could be in London for that day with my family rather than being at some hotel in the middle of nowhere with the day off. So I do that as much as I possibly can. And they come out on the road with me whenever they can. Obviously, they've got school and stuff, so it's a bit difficult, but at weekends, they're so bored now probably of seeing busted shows, but they don't always stick around for the gig, but they're around with me as much as they can, which is really cute. Do you know what? My daughter came, she's 16, and she brought a mate with her to come and see a show with us this year, and I was driving to the gig myself, and her and her mate come in the car with me. It was so nice. It's like, she didn't care about seeing a busted gig, but I'm sure her mate didn't either. But it was so nice to hang out with them. And I try to do that. I try to kind of bring family with me as much as possible. And that's lucky because the band is in a position where lots of us have families and lots of us have kids. And so there's always kids around, there's always families around. It's a nice environment, and it stops me from going, I'm away, I'm gone. One, it starts me feeling lonely, which is a big thing on tour. You can start to feel quite lonely. You're surrounded by people, but in the past I've felt very alone, and I don't want to feel like that ever again. So I make sure that I don't give myself any chances to feel like that. And another one is really noticing the wins. I feel like in the past I have always been about the next thing. I've always never been happy with where I am. I've always been chasing some kind of unfindable goal. It's always been about the next thing, the next single, the next gig. This moment will be better. I'll get here if I can. But now I'm very much like, oh, that was rad. That was a really good gig. I'm really, really pleased that went well. And also little things like waking up in the morning and not feeling like a piece of shit, or not feeling full of shame and remorse, or not having to hide anything from anybody. That's a massive thing for me. And sometimes I forget that I'm winning. It's easy to kind of get lost in it and kind of forget all these little wins, but they're big things for me. Meeting fans is a big thing, kind of like meeting you guys and you telling me that we've made an impact on your life in some way is massive for me. I can't believe that, we wrote some silly little songs in our bedroom. We're 16 and we're still singing those silly little songs. I'm 42 and they mean something to people. That's massive. And I do not take it for granted, and I appreciate everything I get from you. So thank you very much. I think what this tour is teaching me, and what every time I go on the road or kind of do this kind of work, it's kind of reminding me, is that I'm stronger now than I was. I'm in a good place, and I can feel good about myself for that. I don't have to kind of, feel embarrassed or anything. I'm in a good place, and that's good. You worked hard for it and you deserve to feel all right about it. You can visit an old life without becoming your old self, which was a worry for me, and it has been a worry for other people in my life. But I feel really good about that these days. But you have to stay on it. You have to stay aware of things. Like I've said in the past, my number one priority is recovery, which is hard for some people to understand. Well, isn't your number one priority your family? I'm like, well, yeah, of course, but without recovery, that goes away very, very quickly. So it is my number one priority. And so to be able to do this job, to be able to do what I do, to be able to get what I want from life and look after my family and feel like I'm a member of that family rather than not, I have to look after recovery. So that has to become first and foremost my utmost priority. So look, I know it's a bit unrelatable, right? Because I know I'm not talking to a load of people in bands, but I think what I'm trying to get across is that you can walk into an old environment and not become your old self. And you can do things that you used to do that maybe scared you a little bit. And if you're in a good place and you're strong enough in your recovery, or you're in a place where you feel like you're able to do those things, you can do them. And they're not going to make you walk back into that scary place in life that you don't want to be in anymore. I'm doing something which has been absolutely catastrophic to my life multiple times, and I'm doing it. I'm safe. I feel good. I'm doing a good job, I hope. And life is good. So you can do it. You just got to look after yourself on the way. So guys, DM me if you've ever had to do something like this, if you've ever had to go back to a place where you were before as the new version of yourself. What's your version of the tour? What's your place where you've had to hold your ground or show yourself that you can do something that makes you feel proud? Let me know, DM me. Right, before I go, here's my gratitude list. I wrote down 3 things. My bandmates, my old friends who have stuck by me through chaos, the calm. I've been an absolute nightmare for them in the past. I've gone missing. I've missed things. I've let them down multiple times, and they have stuck by me. And, and they've done the same to me sometimes, and I've stuck by them. that's long-term relationships, and I've been in a long-term relationship since I was 16 with these boys, and I do love them in some weird, fucked up way. We love each other. One thing I'm grateful for about Charlie is, he's such a different perspective than me. We couldn't have had more different lives if we tried, but we seem to come together on so many things. But he has such a different perspective on things to me, and he makes me laugh quite hysterically, even if I massively disagree with him, like hugely disagree with him. He still has this way of making me laugh like no one else can. He's bloody funny. Right, one thing I love about James is, I've got quite a few things about James. James has been, when I think about people in my life, apart from Emma, James Bourne has had more of an impact on me than anybody I've ever met. More than my family. Like James Bourne, I met that kid when we were 15 years old, and I have been through everything with him, everything. And I don't think I never told him anything nice. We haven't got a relationship. Like he's never told me anything nice. We're just in this weird place. But, and sometimes he can say something to me, right? And I can say, if I didn't know you and didn't weirdly love you, that's the rudest thing anyone's ever said to me. But I do know you, and I know what you're saying, and I respect it, and I love it. It's he's just the most individual person I've ever met, and he will not change for anyone, and nor should he. But he's his own person, and he doesn't care, and I love that, and I respect it. Next thing I'm grateful for is my recovery. I think now more than ever, it's really dawning on me that without that, I couldn't do this. I couldn't do anything that I'm doing right now. I couldn't host a podcast about recovery and about addiction and about mental health if I wasn't in a place where I am right now. I couldn't go on tour with my band and actually get on stage every night and deliver. And that really fills me with pride. And I think that's because of recovery. It's all down to recovery. I've been an absolute disaster in the past, and I'm not right now. And I am very, very grateful for recovery. Number 3, I'm grateful for my instrument, which is the bass guitar, before you get rude. When I first started playing bass, I was kind of forced to. Me and James both wrote on acoustic guitars. I wasn't a great guitar player, but Charlie joined the band and he was a brilliant guitar player. So it was like, one of you has to play bass. And so I was the shittest at guitar, so I got put on bass. And I was gutted about it. I hated it. I found it really hard. I couldn't do it and sing at the same time. I found it really confusing. It was like this, it was one of those things. It was so hard to do. And I found it really annoying. And I was kind of annoyed that I had to do it. I was like, give me the guitar back. I found that quite fun to be able to play and sing. But I didn't enjoy playing the bass guitar. Now I absolutely love it. I love my part in the band. I love what I play. I love exploring this thing. I love knowing that I'm getting better at it. And I feel like I've got so much to learn still. Like, it's weird, I'm 42 and I'm like, if I could go back to university to study bass guitar right now, I would. Which is so weird. If I could go to music college, I'd love that. Spend 3 years just playing my bass. I'd love that so much. Which is such a weird position considering I used to hate this instrument and got forced to play it. I love it now. It's given me a lot. And every time I play it in front of people, I can't believe we're making this music and people are dancing around and jumping up and down and losing their minds to it. It's the most awesome experience. I love it. So what about you guys? What are you grateful for? Please send me your gratitude list. Search On The Men podcast and you'll find us, and send us a little DM with your gratitude list. I love reading them. Right, I've got some messages from you, which I'm going to read out. Can I read the names of the people or not? Should probably not, just in case.
Yeah, I'd say don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's a shame. So if you wanted your name read out, I'm really sorry. I'm not going to do it, just in case one of you didn't want it and you haven't told us and we get in trouble. So I'm going to read some messages out. One of them is from someone, and they have said, I love both bands for different reasons. Can't wait to sing along to all the songs and see you all on the same stage. Man, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to that too. I like those boys. They're fun, so it should be a laugh. We got another one here. By the looks of things, she's a McFly fan. This could be dodgy, but I love both bands. Thank God. And I think more of the fans understand now it's just banter. We know you're all best buds, and so long as you guys are happy and having fun, the tour will be amazing. Good, I'm pleased you do. You know, I feel like it's weird when I said that in the first episode when I was talking about kind of being in that press stuff and it feeling a bit of a murky kind of water. It was quite negative and I didn't like it, but I feel like more people are understanding now that it's a bit of a laugh. We're having a good time. So I feel a bit more positive about it these days. And the last one is, I cannot wait for this. My little one's first concert, and we are excited. It's the little one's first concert. I'm sorry for the amount of swear words you're going to hear from me. I do honestly try to calm it down. I've tried to swear less on stage, but I can't help it. I get on there and I'm just like, something takes over. It's the same as when I'm on this podcast, I say, just can't help it that these things just slip out. I'm like, must stop saying that so much. And I'm doing it again, and the F word for me is one of them, just slips out. But I hope your little one enjoys it. I hope it's an amazing experience for her. I remember my first gig, I went to see Status Quo, and I'll never forget it. Never forget it. It was one of the most awesome nights of my life at that moment. So, and it kind of like, when I think about it, it's one of the reasons I wanted to be in a band. I saw that, and I didn't want to be in that band, but I wanted to be in a band, so it might be that moment for your little one. Hope it is. Right, so closing this episode out, I think this tour has really reminded me that growth isn't always clean, right? It's gritty, it's repetitive, it's showing up day after day, but I promise you it's worth it. It really is worth it. It's hard sometimes and it can kind of be annoying and you're like, oh, well, if only I was normal. I've said all those things in the past, I wish I was just like everyone else. But you know what? These days I don't. I'm quite happy that I'm a fucking weirdo, who does this weird shit because I feel great about it. So thank you so much for being a part of the On The Mend world. Hit follow and let's keep doing this work together. Remember to check us out at On The Mend Podcast. And once again, if you or someone you know is struggling, please know that you're not alone. There are lots of us out there and there's lots of ways for you to get help. We're going to list some of them in the show notes. Go check them out. It could just be the click that you need.